Today we will revise the genre that we have this week, and this week's genre is about poetry. Okay, so poetry is a kind of writing that a person writes to show or express how he or she feels, or what he or she feels thinks. Okay, so for example, if I like dogs and I want to express or show you how I think about dogs, I write it in a nice and fun way. Okay, what are the elements or the things that you find in poetry? Okay, before we start, let's talk about the person who writes. So if a person writes poetry, he is a poet. Okay, P-O-E-T. A poet is the writer. So a poet is a person who writes poems. So what is a poem? It says here, a poem tells thoughts and feelings. Okay, so the person who writes poem likes to tell you how he feels through writing, and what he's thinking through his writing. Okay, so a poem tells a person's thoughts and feelings. Groups of lines in a poem are called stanza. Remember, we mentioned in class, we said we don't say this is a sentence in a poem. No, we say it's a line. And instead of paragraph, we say it's a stanza. I'll show you what I mean in a few minutes. Okay, the lines often end with rhyming words. These are all elements found in a poem. Okay, what are rhyming words? Rhyming words we mentioned several times in class. Rhyming words are words that have the same ending sound. Rhyming words are words that have the same ending sound. For example, cat, mat, hat, lock, block, clock. Okay, so they sound the same at the end. It doesn't have to have the same spelling, but it can have the same, must have the same sound. All right, like for example, kite and might. They're spelled differently, but they sound the same in the end, so they are rhyming words. Okay, poems often have a pattern of beats called rhythm. Okay, as I also mentioned that it has beats. Like for example, it has like a pattern. A pattern, as we say, it has like, for example, certain beats. Okay, as you say it, to make it similar to a song or a little bit musical. All right. So here we learned several new things. A poem is a writing to show what the person is thinking and feeling. Second thing, it's written in lines. So a poem is arranged or written in lines. A group of lines are called stanza. All right. What else can you find in a poem? Rhyming words. Words that have the same ending sound. All right. What else? It has rhythm. When you say it, you feel there's a beat, a pattern of beats. Okay, like when you sing a song with Miss Natalie in music class, she's always clapping her hand or tapping her feet. This is to match the beat to the song or the rhythm of the song. Okay, here's an example. Is a short poem about a cat. Okay, so here, your cat has always ways to let you know. This is not a sentence, this is a line. Okay, your cat has always ways to let you know just how much she loves you so. So these two lines together are called a stanza. Okay, a stanza can have 2 lines, 3 lines, 4. Okay, how do I know this is a stanza? You'll find that each stanza there's a space between them, like a paragraph. Okay, so this is stanza number 1. These 2 lines are stanza number 1. A stanza is a group of lines in a poem. Okay, what about line number 3? So when you hear her purr and mew, she is saying, I love you. This is stanza number 2. How do I know this is one stanza, this is another? There's a space between them. Okay? All right. let's go back to line number 1. Number 2, you'll find rhyming words at the end of the line. For example, your cat has always ways to let you know just how much she loves you so. See the last 2 words? They rhyme. They have the same ending sound. No and so. How do I know? When I say it, I hear the same ending sound. Okay, so they don't have to have the same spelling at the end. No, they sound the same. No and so, they rhyme. What about stanza number 2? So when you hear her purr and mew, she is saying, I love you. What are the 2 other rhyming words? Mew and you. Okay, so we know what a line is now. We know what a stanza is, and we know what rhyming words is. Okay, like no and so, mew and you. All right. So the rhyming words must have the same ending sound. What else? When you read a poem and you need to understand, you have to remember everything. You have to have a purpose. You have to have a reason to try to understand what the writer is trying to tell you. To put the picture in your mind so you can enjoy it. Okay? There's a rhythm. The way I said it? Your cat has ways to let you know just how much she loves you so. And when you hear her purr and mew, she is saying, I love you. This is the rhythm. We say it in a certain way. Okay? Later on, as you grow up, or maybe in the next poem, we can count the beats. But we just started, so we won't be doing that. Okay? I'll teach you later on how to count the beats. All right? So I hope you understand this part. Okay. So what is the poet trying to tell us? He or she is trying to tell us about what she thinks of the cat. Okay, if you don't understand, go back and read it again. Maybe you'll find words. You will find words that you will understand. Okay, your cat has ways to let you know just how much he loves you so. The poet is trying to tell us that the cats can communicate, can tell us how they feel. Okay, how? So when you hear her purr and mew, these are sounds that cats make. Purr and mew, the sound they make. She is saying, I love you. So cats can also show us how they feel by making these sounds, by purring and mewing. What do they mean when they say it? They mean that they love you. Okay? This is just a short poem. All right. Let's go look at the anchor chart so we can remember the elements of poetry. Remember, purpose. The purpose is the reason why the poet is writing this poem, and also your purpose is to try to understand what the writer is trying to say. It says here, to arrange words in a creative way to help readers think or feel. So the poet, his purpose or his reason for making this poem, he arranges, he puts the words in a fun and creative way, okay, in a way that will make it fun so the readers can think about it and feel it while he or she reads it. What else? The elements, the things that you usually find in a poem. Rhyming words, rhythm, repetition, words that can be repeated. Like we have one of our poems that words are repeated, like stay and stay. Trees don't go away, right? These are repeated words. Okay. Imagery, words that paint a picture in your mind. So when you read it, you start to imagine or like think. You can create a picture in your mind what the poet is trying to say. That's why he uses specific or special words. Stanza, a group of lines of poetry. Okay, here are vocabulary words. Okay, lonely. Lonely means to feel sad because you are alone, you're by yourself. Stamp. Stamp here means to hit your feet to the ground as we did in class. Okay, as I explained it in class, when someone is angry or about something, we stamp our feet. Oh, and then we hit our foot to the ground. There are some animals that are big and huge, like elephants. When they walk, they stamp the ground. Okay? Might. Might here means to have power, to have strength. Scolding, to speak to someone in an angry way. In one of our poems, we have a mother scolding to her son for doing something. Okay? Spread. Spread means to open something up. Like, for example, when kids go out to the playground or they see the sun, they spread their arms and they run freely to show freedom. Birds and butterflies, they spread their wings so they can fly. We can also say we spread the jam on the bread. Sorry, we spread the jam on the bread. So spread has several meanings, but here in this week's vocab, spread means to open something up, to open your arms, or to open the wings to show freedom. Okay, and as we read our poems, we will talk about it. Okay, and this is about the poet who wrote these poems that we'll read. Her name is Gwendolyn Brooks. Okay, she's a poet. She's a novelist, and she writes poetry. She writes novels, stories, and autobiographies. Autobiographies is something you will learn later on. Stories when a person writes about his or her own life. Okay, she's African American. Okay, she is from America, but her family is originally from Africa, and she is one of the greatest poets of all time. Okay, poetry. We'll be reading 4 poems by Gwendolyn Brooks. Okay, we explained it several times, but we just go through them briefly. Okay, so Pete at the zoo. I wonder if the elephant is lonely in his stall when all the boys and girls are gone, and there's no shout at all, and there's no one to stamp before, and no one to note his might. Does he hunch up as I do against the dark of night? Okay, here in each line we see that it's about something. Okay, let's go back and read the title. Pete at the zoo. Who do you think Pete is? Pete is the elephant. Okay, if there's something you don't understand, go back and read it again. There, you might catch a word that you will remember. If you read something fast, you will not get it. Take your time. Pete at the zoo. I wonder if the elephant is lonely in his stall. Okay, so who is Pete? Pete is the elephant. Where is he? Where does he live? He lives at the zoo. And in the zoo, he stays in a place called a stall, where he stands. His room is called a stall. And in line number 3 says, when all the boys and girls are gone and there's no shout at all. So he stays in the zoo and people come into the zoo and watch it. But when everyone is gone, he hears no shout. And there's no one to stamp before, so he doesn't have to stamp in front of anyone, and no one to note his might. Then after everyone leaves, there's no one to show all his power and his strength, which is the word might. Does he hunch up as I do against the dark of night? Okay, does he stand up and strong even at nighttime? Okay, it's talking about if the elephant feels lonely after everyone leaves, what does he do? How does it feel? All right. I also, if I ask you, for example, to read lines 1 to 4, read lines 1 to 4, and I ask you, find the rhyming words. Go back and read it again. I wonder if the elephant is lonely in his stall when all the boys and girls are gone and there's no shout at all. Okay? Remember, when I ask you to look for the rhyming words, Where are the rhyming words are? At the end of the sentence. Does it have to be below each other? No. Here, for example, we have in line 2 and line 4, we have two rhyming words, stall and all. Okay, and as you read, you'll find two other rhyming words here. Try to look for them. Okay? So that's about the first poem. The second poem, Kazaya. I have a secret place to go, and not anyone may know. And sometimes when the wind is rough, I cannot get there fast enough. And sometimes when my mother is scolding my big brother, my secret place, it seems to me, is quite the only place to be. Okay? Here, how many stanza? 1, 2, 3, 4. How do I know that there are 4 stanzas? Between each stanza, there's space. Okay, let's look for rhyming words. I have a secret place to go, not anyone may know. Go and know. And sometimes when the wind is rough, I cannot get there fast enough. Rough enough. Okay, so what is this poem about? It's about a boy telling us about his secret place. Where is his secret place? If you look here, we also go to the picture and try to figure it out. You'll find that the boy is hiding under the dining table. Why do you think he's hiding under the dining table? It says here, and sometimes when the wind is rough, I cannot get there fast enough. Okay, do you see any wind in the picture? No. It says sometimes when the wind is rough, I cannot get there fast enough. So that means he's not talking about the wind. He's talking about when there's a hard time. Rough, remember? The word rough means something that is difficult, that is hard. So that means there's a hard time, something hard happening in his house. There's a problem. His mom is scolding his big brother. It says here in stanza number 3, and sometimes when my mother is scolding my big brother. So his mom is angry at his brother, and is shouting. Okay, she is telling him, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. So who gets scared? The boy, Kazaya. What does he do? He gets scared, so he goes to his secret place to hide. And here, the line number 3 says, and sometimes when the wind is rough, he's talking about the problem that's happening in the house, the hard time. So when there's a hard time, he feels safe in his secret place, which is under the table. Okay? So here is about a boy telling us about his secret place and why he goes there. And we also have rhyming words. You'll find rhyming words in each stanza, okay? And rhythm. All right. Next, Rudolph is tired of the city. These buildings are too close to me. I'd like to push away. I'd like to live in the country and spread my arms all day. Right? So here, the boy is saying, the buildings are too close to me. I'd like to push them away. So that means, where does he live? It's from the title. Go back to the title and read. It says, Rudolph is tired of the city. That means he lives in the city. And does he like it? No, he's tired. There's too much noise, too many buildings. And he wishes he can have some space. How do you know? It says here, these buildings are too close to me. I'd like to push away. And see the push, the word push, it's in capital letters. Everything is so close. Everything's so tight. He wants to go and push it away. I'd like to live in the country. The country here means not the country that we live in, like Egypt or America. Here it means the countryside, the farm, the rural area. Why? Because the countryside has a lot of open space, green land, animals. He wants to run freely and spread my arms all day. Here he wants to feel the freedom. He wants to feel free and enjoy his time. Okay? I'd like to spread my breath out too, as farmers' sons and daughters do. I tend the cows and chickens, I do the other chores, and then all the hours left I'd go and spreading out of doors. So he wishes he can breathe out freely. He can breathe freely and live as the the farmer's son and daughters. Why? He would rather take care of cows and chickens and do his other chores, because farmers have a very hard job. They wake up very early in the morning. When the sun starts to rise, they go and take care of their land. They go and feed the animals in their barn. They feed the chicken so they can lay eggs. They go and milk the cows. They milk the cows twice a day. We took the story last year, remember? It's a very hard job, and they have so many chores to do in their house, not only in their house, also in their farmland. Okay? And the rest of the hours, I go spreading outdoors. The rest of the day, he gets to play and stay outdoors. That means he likes to have fun outdoors. He likes to spend his time outdoors. Okay? So this is a poem about a boy who's tired of living in the cities, in the city. He'd rather be in the countryside, where it's more quiet and more space to have some freedom and to live a simple life and take care of animals. Okay? And how do you know how many stanza? Stanza 1, because there's space. Stanza 2, there's space. So 1, 2, and 3. Are there any rhyming words? Yes. Let's look for them. These buildings are too close to me. I'd like to push away. I'd like to live in the country and spread my arms all day. Away and day. Right? I'd like to spread my breath out too, as farmers' son and daughters do. To and do. These are rhyming words. Okay? So if I ask you to find rhyming words, I will tell you to read certain lines or to read certain stanza. And you will find them from these two or from the stanza. Alright? Let's go to our next one. Lyle. Lyle. Trees won't pack his bags and go. Trees won't go away. In his first and favorite home, Tree shall stay and stay. Once I liked a little home, then I liked another. I waved goodbye to 7 homes, and so have Pops and Mother. But Tree may stay so stout and straight, and never have to move. As Pops, as Mother, from land he learned to love. Okay? Here we have repetition. Repetition words are repeated. The author is, the poet is repeating words. You can repeat words in a poem. What words are being repeated? Like in line 1 and 2, we have the words trees won't. Trees won't pack his bag and go. Trees won't go away. Okay? We also have another one. Tree shall stay and stay. Stay and stay is repeated 2 times in one line. Okay? So what is Lyle talking about? As you look at the picture, you see a boy. A boy has a backpack and a suitcase. Okay? That means he's going somewhere. Maybe on a trip. Maybe somewhere. For you to understand, you go back and you read the poem. Okay, what else is he looking? What else is he doing? He's looking at a tall tree. Okay? So he's looking at a tree for a reason. Let's go back to the poem and read. Trees won't pack his bag and go. Trees won't go away. So what did he say about the tree? He said trees never go. They never move. Okay? They don't pack their bags and leave. They stay. They stay forever. They are planted and they stay. What about the boy? Let's go to stanza number 2. Okay, you guys know how to find the rhyming words, right? Okay. Once I liked a little home, then I liked another. I've waved goodbye to 7 homes, and so have Pops and Mother. So, the tree gets to stay in its place. The tree never moves. But what about a boy? He says, every time I like a home, and then I have to go and like another. That means he's moving. He moves a lot. What's the meaning of move? That means he leaves one house, and after he lives in one house, and after a while he has to go to move and live in another house. Okay? What else? He says here, I've waved goodbye to 7 homes. That means every time he starts to like his home, he has to go to another. He said goodbyes to 7 homes. How many times did he move? He moved 7 times. He had 7 homes. And so have Pops and Mother. So he moves with his mom and dad. Okay? And that means he's tired. He's tired of moving. Because every time you stay in one home, you love it. This is your place. So he's tired of moving. But he has to move like it with his mom and dad. But tree may stay so stout and straight and never have to move. He said, but see, trees don't have to move. They stay. They stay straight and they don't move. As Pops and Mother, from land he learned to love. Okay? So he's comparing himself to the tree. He says the difference between the trees get to stay in their home that they love, but he doesn't. He has to move with his mom and dad. Okay? So I want you to read any poem that I get you, to read carefully, to make sure you understand, and to read the questions carefully. The questions that I ask you carefully. Okay? Good luck. Where's the...